What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and today we have the brand new legend coming for the end of the month, which is going to be Kozuki Momonosuke, which I'm not really the biggest fan of this character selection for this month. I was really hoping we're going to get Green Bull as the representation for the next month. It's not going to be the case. Now, mind you, based on the characters that we're getting in this batch, it does lead us to believe that, like, this is going to be one of the, if not the last batch in Wano, pretty much, right? Because we have Kozuki Momonosuke in his adult human form. With the batch, it is, like, solely focused on, like, the post-Wano related stuff. So I'm really looking forward to moving on from Wano, because I think most people are, you know, kind of done with this arc. And considering the representation that this arc has had in Treasure Cruise in general, I'm just excited to just move past it and start focusing on new and different characters. But Kozuki Momonosuke is going to be arriving here, and it just feels kind of weird because I feel like it was like yesterday when we had like Legend Momo come into the game, and we're already getting another Legend Momo. Like, literally, Legend Momo debuted like May this year, which I guess technically wasn't really that long ago, like 6 months. But man, it feels like it hasn't been that long since Legend Momo. But let's go into what this character actually does. So of course it's on the official Twitter. I'm going to go through all the information for you guys here today. So the Kozuki Momonosuke is a quick slasher free spirit with a final tap. He's got the slot bind reduction, critical strike, which is cool. Everything else seems about stock standard, so nothing surprising jumps out at the moment, aside from the fact that it is going to be final tap. So let's go through the character's captain ability here. So the captain ability of Momo will reduce slasher and free spirit cooldown by 2 turns at the start of the quest. I mean, Legend Momo that came out earlier on in the year, in May, was a slasher free spirit captain with -2 cooldown. We now have another one, slasher free spirit, -2 cooldown. 1.35 HP, 5.25 times attack, recovery, tandem, and matching, all pretty stock standard stuff. If 4 or more slashers are on the crew, boost slasher and free spirit characters attack by 5.5 times, so it's a pretty big bump there, and also adds 0.2 to the minimum chain multiplier value this effect can stack. So this is pretty cool, I guess. So if you're running like a fully focused slasher team, I guess, or a lot of characters being slasher on your crew, you get a bonus of higher attack values as well as the 0.2 chain multiplier increase that can stack. So this is just free bonus damage. So if you're building a slasher team, you want to be utilizing him. But it's the fact that, you know, we have a lot of these, you know, the Scabbards, you know, Momo characters, Odin characters that are solely focused around boosting slasher and free spirit, and these characters all kind of work together. But that's kind of the problem, is that there are really so many different versions of these types of units that you actually can't use them all together, even though they might actually be very good together. So it's going to be interesting to see how this character can synergize with some of those other units. It also adds 0.1 to the chain multiplier value when you have a captain as a slasher. This is a really good crewmate ability, actually. This is the first crewmate ability that we've ever seen that actually does this, so just thought I wanted to point that out because that's actually kind of fascinating. So captain ability, honestly, it's pretty bland. It's just damage, HP, cooldown, matching slots, like nothing brand new, no utility, which is a big thing these days. But it is a free spirit captain at the end of the day, so it can synergize with some very, very good units. So let's move on to the character's special. The special removes defense up and threshold by 7. Well, that's already fantastic, and I'm very scared to see what the PKA for this season is going to be like, knowing that we have this Momo that can remove 7 turns of defense and threshold. That's going to be annoying. If 3 or fewer slashes are on the crew, you get a 2.75 chain boundary for 2 turns. Capping out at 30 is good. And then it says if you have 4 or more slashes on the crew, you get a 3.0 chain boundary for 3 turns. So the chain boundary is actually going from 2 to 3. That's a pretty big change, obviously, because you can stack that buff over multiple turns. And then you have boosting the attack of the next final tap performed by slasher or free spirit characters by 30%. So this is completely new stuff that we've seen here. Similar effects can stack up to 200%. The effect will be spent during the final tap when attack with all characters, regardless of the type class requirement of the effect. Okay, so basically it says 30% bonus attack to slasher or free spirit characters that performs a final tap, but it says even if a character is not slasher or free spirit, whenever you do your next final tap, this effect will be consumed. So this is interesting. So you can use this like earlier on in a quest and just keep it forever until you actually do your final tap, and then you'll be able to get this to proc. So that's interesting. Furthermore, it says, after this special is launched, boosts the attack of the next final tap performed by a slasher or a free spirit character by 10% for 3 turns when crew has an attack buff or buff by a slasher or free spirit character. Applies to boosts applied by support effect if character is slasher or free spirit. Okay, so this is saying that you launch the special, and then it says, after the special is launched, boost the attack of the next final tap performed by 10% for 3 turns when an attacker or buff is applied. Okay, so when you launch the special, you get a 30% attack bonus, and then you can get further attack buffs, which is why it mentions that it can stack up to 200%, so that when you activate any attacker or buff, you get further 10% increase, 10% increase, 10% increase. So at a base value, the character that performs the final tap gets like a 1.3 bonus. However, if you can use the right effects, you can make this technically be like a, well, if you get 100% bonus, it's a 2 times bonus. If you can somehow stack it to 200%, it's actually like a 3 times bonus to that character's final tap. This seems crazy at face value, but you gotta remember, it's only for the character that performs the final tap, and most final taps these days haven't really been that great. I mean, you've had obviously the Film Red Luffy that came out recently, who is actually not slasher or free spirit, but just as an example, that final tap is very good. The one that comes to mind straight away would be like Kinemon Denjiro, Ashura Dogstorm, you know, K-Dad, that unit's final tap is very good. Luffy Crew's final tap is also very good, but those characters' final taps are not based on their own damage, they're actually based on your crew's total damage. So this is going to be interesting to see how this type of effect is actually used, because the type of final taps that this is going to be good for is when that final tap is solely focused on that last character's attack. You know, one that comes to mind would be like New Year's Robin or Legend Uta, that boost the chain multiplier so that when that character actually attacks, that character does do a lot more damage. This would give credence to those types of final taps. So we'll wait and see what happens, but I like it seems cool at face value, but I don't think it's actually going to be that great. I mean, like, technically the best final tap is like really like Gear 5 Luffy, and it's not even a final tap, it's a Rush Sugo special. This would get me more excited if Luffy, Gear 5 Luffy, was actually a last tap character and not a Rush Sugo special. Again, as I said, I don't know if this is going to be super useful, but I think the best thing about this unit, obviously, good utility in the special, defense up and threshold by 7 is great, and then a chain boundary for potentially 3 turns that starts at 3.0, and then you get this additional effect for final tap characters. So, I don't know. I'm not really the biggest fan of the character overall. I think it's kind of bland, honestly. Let's move on, though. This character support attaches to the characters you would expect. Once per quest, if the supported character uses a special to change slots, you get a 1.75 chain boundary that stacks up to 5.0. This could be useful for sure. It just gives you more damage just across the board. It's just a good effect. Attaches to some good characters, but it has to be a unit that changes slots. I assume it attaches to Hiyori. I'm kind of just blasting through it. It attaches to Yamato, which is actually really good. Raizo, Komurasaki, which also would count Hiyori, I would assume. So Legend Hiyori, like, that actually gives, you know, better buffs to that unit. Getting a chain boundary off of that is kind of cracked. So this character does have a final tap, as we said. When any 3 of the following are on the crew, are you kidding me, dude? Luffy, Yamato, Odin, I mean, you got some good units there. Toki, Hiyori, Sukiyaki, which is Tenkiyama, Kinemon, and any of the Scabbards, Shinobu, Izo also counts too. Now, this character's final tap will change this character's slot through block into Wano, and it will further boost the chain multiplier by 2.25, which is what I mentioned earlier with Uta, New Year's Robin, having the exact same final tap. These are like the best final taps for actually giving you damage for that last unit, whereas Luffy Crew, Film Red Luffy, K-Dad, these final taps are solely based on the amount of damage that your entire crew can do. So this is good. I like it. It makes sense. It's decent design for the unit. At max potential, yes, this is going to do a lot of damage, but I'm not the biggest fan of the design because you have to have it maxed to actually be good. But then again, if you're running like a quick team for like Slash or Free Spirit, if you have New Year's Robin, you know, with some investments, I guess this could have some synergy with that. I don't know, it seems a bit weird though. The character does have a super class. Again, any of the following characters. You only need one of the units as well, which is good. It's a good list, only one unit required. And my face is covering it here, but you can see boost Slasher and Free Spirit characters attack and orbs by 1.25 that can be stacked over it. Makes sense. And then boost their base attack by 1250 for 3 turns. So it does give you a stackable buff, which is going to be nice, like an overridable buff. It does mention here that, I want to read this again. It says, and after this special is launched, boost the attack of the next final tap performed by Slash or Free Spirit by 10% for 3 turns when crew has attack buff. Okay, this actually, it doesn't mention through a special. It just says when you have an attack or an orb buff applied. So I assume that the superclass that gives you attack and orb buff will actually stack further attack buffs with the final tap characters. That's what I assume. So this character is really focused around this whole final tap mechanic. It works very well with Slasher or Free Spirit characters that have final tap, but mainly you want to use him with Slashers to get the best components of his effects, but it's a weird one, and I think the rare recruit batch that comes alongside this character is going to supplement this character pretty heavily. We'll have to wait and see exactly how that actually works, but I do feel like the rare recruit batch is going to carry this unit quite heavily, because by himself, I'm not the biggest fan of this unit, but look, it's just a generically released legend. After his batch is gone and then the month has passed, he's going to be going into normal red tickets, which is a huge positive. So I like the fact that he has good utility and chain boundary for multiple turns. That's the really cool thing that I like. But it's not like a game-breaking character. I think that this attack buff for final attack characters, it seems cool, but I think it's not going to be that great moving forward unless we get better final tap characters moving forward. That's just the way that I see it. Now, we do need to talk about his Pyro Rumble mechanics. So he is an attacker style unit in Rumble. 34 CT for his special, targets enemies in a large horizontal range for 3 times damage, which is about stock standard. And he also targets enemies for 80% chance of special bind for 5 seconds. 5 seconds is literally nothing. That's really bad. But then he does target 1 high defense enemy for 2 times damage, ignoring defense. That is incredible. The damage is pretty bland, mediocre. Against like most teams you come up against, 3 times attack isn't going to be doing a lot of damage. The special bind for 5 seconds is pretty redundant in my opinion. But then the damage through defense is the big thing. So I don't know if this character has a place. Now, his Rumble ability gives buffs to Quick, giving them attack and defense 5. That's very good. And then he gives Slashers speed 5 and crit 5. The Slasher component is pretty bad, but the Quick component is very good. So again, I don't know what kind of teams you can really build with this guy. Like Slasher Free Spirit, but a Quick team? I don't think that really has much of a place, at least right now. We'll have to wait and see if that changes in the future. He does have Grand Party stuff, of course. When your team uses 5 Rumble specials, which is not very difficult to do, targets 1 enemy with high HP for defense down level 7, and then all enemies for 4 times damage of the leader, and then Slasher Free Spirit level 7 attack increase. It's pretty bad in my opinion. I don't think this is a very good GP burst, and he gives buffs to Quick, Slasher Free Spirit. No real surprise there. So in Rumble, I don't think he's that great. He's just kind of alright. I mean, his Rumble ability is pretty bad for the types of teams you would want to put him in. The special is, it's acceptable. It's acceptable is what I would say. So honestly, overall, I'm not the biggest fan of this unit, but we'll wait and see. Maybe the rare recruit batch is going to help him out a lot. According to the JP video, which I want to pull up real quick, this is the batch that we have here. We've got a Trafalgar Law and Robin. Really interested to see what that character has. Sukiyaki, which is Odin's father, is also going to be a rare recruit. And then also we have Okiku and Otoko. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on here. But it does look like we have a new Hiyori being a Sugofest exclusive, which I'm not that happy about. Was kind of hoping we're going to get Green Ball, but we'll wait and see. Maybe the Hiyori is going to be absolutely cracked. But anyways, that's going to wrap it up for me. Let me know your thoughts and opinions about the new Kozuki Momonosuke. Do you guys like this design? Do you think it's interesting? I at least like that they're trying something different here with the buffing attack for final tap characters, but I just don't think it's going to see that much play. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you guys did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Other than that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.